Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for joining in. This side, Rahul Magan here as a Chief Executive Officer of Strategy Consulting LLP. And today we are going to cover about a very interesting topic which recently has been published about the Deutsche Bank. As you very well understand that sitting today, the banks are in the negative news. All kind of banks are in negative news. When it comes to the central bank, they are in the negative news because of the accommodative monetary policy. When it comes to the other bank like European bank, they are in the news because of the capital shortfall. So every second day these banks are in negative news, but Deutsche is facing a lot of issue, and in this video we are going to cover about that aspect of the Deutsche. Now if we move forward, then before covering this topic, in fact along with this topic, we would like to cover a few important aspects about Deutsche. Like Deutsche is having highly leveraged balance sheets of amounting euro 1.6 trillion, which is extremely high. If I take $1 to 1 euro, although 1 euro is approximately 1.10, so if I take 1.10, then in dollar value this is approximately 1.76, which is very high. 1.76 trillion, not billion. So the size of the Deutsche Bank balance sheet is roughly 1.76 trillion dollars, or euro 1.6 trillion. Deutsche Bank cash cushion is also falling and currently lowest amongst all G7 banks. Cash cushion refers to the fact that what would happen if the bank would crash, and so on and so forth. So all kind of contingency. In nutshell, cash cushion is nothing but your equity capital. But at the same time, there is a biggest debate which is happening, and I strongly disagree with the fact that cash cushion should cover contingent capital also. Like, hope you remember that in the last few weeks, a very good debatable topic which is happening in the market, whether Deutsche contingent capital will invoke or not. And as per the research report, and we also presented a video in that regard, we specify that Deutsche is still facing, European banks are facing approximately $76 billion of contingent capital. So Deutsche cash coupon is falling, and it is falling at an alarming rate. So one needs to be careful about that. Next, Deutsche Bank is having approximately $42 trillion of derivative, which is euro $42 trillion of derivative, which effectively means that if LIBOR would swing by 1 basis point, then the impact on the Deutsche is approximately 42 billion. Yes, we strongly agree with the thought that we had not taken that duration into consideration while calculating PV01, but we estimated on a frankly basis. So on a frankly basis, if the LIBOR will move by 1 bips, then the valuation of the Deutsche, or the M2M valuation, will swing by not less than $42 billion, which is not a small amount. Why I'm saying so? I hope you must have followed. Recently quarter announced quarterly result of the Deutsche Bank, in which they reported the net profit of approximately 254 million euro. So assume that if the movement would happen of more than 7 or 8 cents, then the entire profits would wash away. And with this, the biggest question is also coming in the minds of a lot of people, unfortunately, that has not been answered by the regulators, and in fact, Deutsche Bank has not answered it appropriately. Which makes sense that is Deutsche is cooking the M2M valuation of derivatives, because LIBOR is moving up, and we cannot believe that Deutsche has hedged the complete exposure. So what I meant that, interest rate indices or currencies or both, in fact commodities also, because we should not forget that European banks are having a very good hold in commodities also, right? Like Standard Chartered Bank, who is having a non-profitable who is having a very good exposure in commodities. So we should not forget that all the exposures which these so-called European banks are having, they all are hedged. Because if we go with the statement of a hedge fund recently given, then he clearly mentioned that majority of the exposures which hedge funds are having, although they are hedged, but they turned out to be the loss. And since we don't have the data about the instrument by instrument mark to market, or how they are considering the mark to market, henceforth we have to rely on a complete number. So in complete number senses, it's clearly visible that Deutsche M2M is approximately $18 trillion. So what a beauty! You have the derivative book of 42 trillion, and you have the M2M valuation of 18 trillion, which is approximately 48%, which is approximately 48%. This is very high number. So what I meant to say that, and secondly, there is a lot of talks which is also happening in the market about the cooking of valuation of the derivative by Deutsche Bank, and certainly I would agree with this fact because there is a huge volatility which is happening in the financial market. All currencies are swinging. You name the currency: dollar, euro, GBP, Philippines peso, Swiss franc, Singapore dollar, Thailand baht, Romanian RON, Czech crown, and all currencies are swinging. How can that possible that the Deutsche is not facing the M2M valuation? And secondly, when it comes to the interest rate indices, they are turning highly volatile. If at one point these banks are claiming that due to the fall in the interest rates on the bonds or due to the fall in the yields of the bonds, they came out with a huge profitability which is known as the fixed income derivative trading. Then on the other side, we should also agree with the fact that due to the fall in this valuation of the derivative, that they would have they would have actually M2M loss also, which they are not reporting. So like everything, like it is coin having both the sides, but unfortunately the market as well as the media is looking at only first side. They're forgetting the second side. But nonetheless, Deutsche Bank becomes one of the few banks and aggressive enough to put capital at risk, because we all understand that long ago, in fact, in 2008 and 2009, majority of the banks, European banks as well as the US banks, they either shut down their investment banking, or because of the Volcker rule, what they did, they just segregated their investment banking from their foreign exchange positions, because Volcker was getting very strict. But Deutsche is a perfect example in that regards. Deutsche is still, or there is a lot of big news in the market, not yet confirmed. Deutsche is still synced. Your so-called the cash deposits which they are accepting with their investment banking. And if you look at next, the last line, in this links with that, this suggests that Deutsche Bank has cultivated the bankers with such an expertise to either conceive to in conceiving the promotion and the trading of cutting edge financial instruments. And this is happening. Unfortunately, this is the saddest part of the life, that Goldman Sachs is also one of that bank who has initiated a cutting edge derivative, and majority of the derivatives went into losses. Like recently Goldman Sachs issued derivative. Recently, case of Goldman Sachs and Libya, derivative issued in Libya. So this is something important. Now we would like to cover one point which we are taking to the next sheet also, that Deutsche Bank, which is the second last. The Deutsche Bank is a systematic case, because the sheer size of the leverage is very high. It is so much high that if anything would turn wrong, then Deutsche is gone. And there are a lot of speculation in the market which clearly suggests that Germany is not in a position to bail out Deutsche. Of course, central bank is doing huge amount of quantitative easing, and economy is falling. Competitiveness is not very good. Henceforth, you are not in a situation to do that. So this is something you need to understand very carefully. Moving to the next page, which is very important and which will tell you something different about Deutsche. Now, if you look at here, we already discussed this part of this slide, that Deutsche is having approximately $42 trillion of derivatives, whose M2M stands at roughly $18 trillion, which is very high. In my time, this is very high. And to be very honest, if this M2M valuation would, if we sincerely enough to, if I think the first job of the regulator is to move forward and to check the M2M valuation. But unfortunately, this won't happen, because we know that the regulators are either very slow or they are paid. So this is something which we need to understand. Another important thing which we need to see here when it comes to Deutsche, and we compare this with one of the biggest banks in US. In fact, number one market capitalized bank after Wells Fargo, because Wells Fargo is facing a scandal, which is that Deutsche is having cash backing. Cash backing refers to equity and all cash and cash equivalent times. Deutsche is having cash backing of approximately $67 trillion, sorry, euro, while the size of the balance sheet is approximately 1.6 trillion. So if you use your calculator and if you wanted to, and if you use your calculator and if you wanted to just divide it, you will get to know that with per dollar of cash backing, the leverage Deutsche has taken is roughly $25. I hope I can have the privilege to give a statement that Deutsche has learned nothing from 2008, or European regulators learned nothing from 2008. It is the same thing that has happened in 2000 again, when the cash backing to derivative was nothing. In fact, at that moment, derivative to derivative were number of times. So a single pool of $1 was having 10 derivative. So $1 is licensed with approximately $1,000 of derivative. But this information we don't have, so we cannot quote. But I'm sure that Deutsche is having something of that. Deutsche is having something of that. Now, another very important is that if we compare this with the JP Morgan, which is number one market capitalization bank in US, then the same ratio is 9 is to 1, which means they have the cash backing of $224 billion with the total size of the balance sheet approximately 2.4 trillion. This is 9 is to 1. I'm not saying 9 is to 1 is very good, or I'm not supporting JP Morgan, but I'm saying there is a clear cut difference between 25 is to 1 and 9 is to 1. Because 9 is to 1 is something different and 25 is to 1 is something is totally different, which is approximately 2.5 times. And we clearly mention here that cash backing excludes contingent capital bonds, which converts into equity as trigger initiate. Currently, we have not heard any European bank whose triggered got initiate and due to this the contingent capital turned into equity. So we not heard anything but any of that. But as soon as we get any information, we will pass to our subscribers on YouTube channel. This completely makes Deutsche Bank a systematic case in the market. And if you look at this paragraph, which is also very important, you will get to know that Deutsche majority of the cash backing is illiquid. So 50% of the cash backing is illiquid, which is approximately 32 trillion euro. So first of all, you have somehow cash backing of 67 billion euro, and out of that 32 billion euro, is illiquid in nature, which as per Basel III is also known as level 3 securities. Now the biggest question is coming: how long the regulators would wait, or we are waiting to crash for the Deutsche crash? Because this has been cleared that Germany will not come forward and protect the Deutsche. That is for sure, that Germany will not come forward and protect the Deutsche. So it is Deutsche himself who have to protect. And as regards the balance sheet size is concerned, then they are way above. So I don't think they have any opportunity left that they are able to deliver now. So this makes Deutsche a perfect case, and I think next time when you look at the balance sheet of the Deutsche Bank or any other bank's balance sheet, whether it's an Indian bank, US bank, or a European bank, then you would make a sense that how much cash holding they have. And cash holding doesn't mean the deposit. Cash holding means your equity capital. How much equity capital they have, and how much of the asset has been linked with that equity capital. This makes a lot of sense. In that regards, we can certainly agree with the fact that Deutsche is a perfect example. Deutsche is a perfect example of a systematic crisis. This was the purpose of the video today. You are most welcome to. This is a presentation done by Deutsche Consulting LLP YouTube channel, and Deutsche Consulting LLP YouTube channel is present everywhere. Like you can see, we are on the YouTube, Dailymotion, WhatsApp, Twitter, Google Blogs, SlideShare, Snapchat, Telegram, Facebook, everywhere. You can contact us everywhere. In fact, we are pleased to share that we launched our LinkedIn page as well. Our contact is like this: www.regiconsulting.in, which is our website, and my two email IDs are rahul.magan@regiconsulting.in. Sorry, there is a little typo. Consulting, regiconsulting.in, and info@regiconsulting.in. My mobile number is 9899242978. Skype is Rahul5327, and Twitter ID is @Rahul Magan 8. We thank you very much, and for more information, visit our website and YouTube channel. Thank you, and have a great day ahead.